Have you ever known someone who deletes their social media apps every month? They disappear for a week, sometimes longer. Then they come back, post for a while, and delete everything again. It's a constant cycle. Delete, return, delete, return. People think they're dramatic or attention-seeking, but psychology says people who repeatedly delete social media aren't looking for attention. They're caught between two needs: the need for connection and the need for peace. And understanding this pattern reveals a lot about their mental health, boundaries, and relationship with validation. Let's break down the real psychology behind people who delete social media every month. 1. They're overwhelmed by digital overstimulation. Social media is designed to be addictive. Endless scrolling, constant notifications, a never-ending stream of information and opinions. For some people, it becomes too much. Psychologists call this digital overwhelm or information overload. Their nervous system can't handle the constant stimulation. Research shows that excessive social media use activates the same brain regions as addiction and increases cortisol, the stress hormone. When they delete their apps, they're not being dramatic. They're desperately trying to give their brain a break. They need silence, space, and relief from the mental noise. But after a while, loneliness or FOMO creeps in, so they come back. It's not inconsistency. It's a survival pattern where they oscillate between needing connection and needing peace. 2. They struggle with comparison and self-worth. Social media is a highlight reel. Everyone's posting their best moments while hiding their struggles. And for people with low self-esteem, this constant comparison is toxic. Psychologists call this social comparison theory, where people measure their worth against others. Every time they scroll, they see someone doing better, looking better, living better, and it destroys them. Research shows that heavy social media use is linked to increased depression, anxiety, and feelings of inadequacy. So they delete it to protect their mental health, to stop comparing, to stop feeling like they're not enough. But eventually, they feel disconnected or left out, so they return, only to be triggered again. It's a painful cycle of seeking validation and then running from the damage it causes. 3. They have an anxious relationship with validation. Some people delete social media because they hate how much they care about likes, comments, and followers. They post something and then obsessively check for reactions. If it doesn't get enough engagement, they feel worthless. If it does, the high is temporary. Psychologists call this external validation dependency or approval-seeking behavior. Their self-worth is tied to digital metrics, and they know it's unhealthy. Research shows that social media engagement triggers dopamine releases similar to gambling, creating addictive patterns. They delete the apps to break free from that cycle, to stop caring what others think. But the craving for validation doesn't disappear just because the app is gone. So they come back. Hopping this time will be different. But the pattern repeats because the underlying need for approval hasn't been healed. 4. They're trying to control their impulsive behavior. For some people, social media brings out their worst tendencies. They overshare when they're emotional. They post things they regret. They get into arguments, send messages they shouldn't, or reveal too much about their personal life. Psychologists call this disinhibition effect, where the digital barrier makes people act impulsively. They delete social media to protect themselves from their own behavior. Research shows that people with poor impulse control or emotional regulation often use avoidance strategies like deleting apps to prevent themselves from making mistakes. But the urge returns. They miss the connection, the entertainment, the community. So they re-download it, promising themselves they'll be more careful. But without addressing the root cause, impulsivity, the cycle continues. 5. They're protecting their mental health from toxicity. Social media can be a toxic environment. Drama, negativity, political arguments, cancel culture, cyberbullying. For sensitive people or those already struggling with mental health, it's unbearable. Psychologists say that highly sensitive persons or people with anxiety disorders are particularly vulnerable to digital toxicity. Every negative comment feels personal. Every argument feels draining. Every news story feels overwhelming. Research shows that exposure to negative content online significantly impacts mood and increases symptoms of depression and anxiety. They delete social media because staying on it is destroying their peace. But humans are social creatures. Eventually, loneliness or the desire for connection pulls them back. And the cycle repeats because they haven't found a healthier way to engage with social platforms. 6. They're fighting an addiction they can't fully quit. Let's be honest, social media is addictive, and some people delete it repeatedly because they recognize they have a problem but can't completely let it go. Psychologists call this relapse and recovery cycle, similar to substance addiction. They know it's bad for them. They know they waste hours scrolling mindlessly. They know it affects their productivity, sleep, and mental health. Research shows that social media addiction activates the same neural pathways as drug addiction, making it incredibly difficult to quit permanently. So they delete it in moments of clarity or frustration, but withdrawal hits. Boredom, FOMO, the compulsive need to check what's happening. And they cave. They re-download it, promising moderation. But moderation is hard when the platform is designed to keep you hooked. So the cycle continues. 7. They're trying to reclaim their identity. Some people delete social media because they've lost themselves in it. Their online persona has become so curated, so performative, that they don't recognize themselves anymore. Psychologists call this identity fragmentation or false self-presentation. They're playing a character for the algorithm, for the followers, for the validation. And it's exhausting. Research shows that maintaining an inauthentic online presence leads to increased stress and disconnection from one's true self. They delete everything to reconnect with who they really are without the pressure to perform, to remember what they liked before the algorithm told them what to like. But after some time, they forget why they left. The pull of connection, relevance, or even career necessity brings them back, and the performance starts again. 8. They're caught between connection and solitude. Here's the core truth. People who delete social media repeatedly are torn between two fundamental human needs: the need to belong and the need for peace. Social media offers instant connection, community, and a sense of being part of something. But it also invades privacy, demands constant engagement, and drains mental energy. Psychologists say this is an approach avoidance conflict, where both staying and leaving have consequences. Research shows that humans need social connection to thrive, but they also need solitude and boundaries to maintain mental health. These people haven't found the balance, so they swing between extremes, all in or all out. They delete when the cost feels too high. They return when the loneliness feels too heavy. It's not indecision. It's an unresolved internal conflict about what they truly need. So if you're someone who deletes social media constantly, know this. You're not dramatic. You're not attention-seeking. You're someone who feels deeply, who's affected by what you consume, and who's trying to protect your peace while still craving connection. The cycle will continue until you address the root cause. Why do you need validation? Why does social media drain you? What boundaries do you need to set? Maybe the answer isn't deleting or staying. Maybe it's learning to engage differently. Curate your feed. Limit your time. Unfollow toxicity. Use it as a tool, not a crutch, because balance is possible, but it requires intentionality, not impulsive cycles of all or nothing. If you want to understand the psychology behind digital behavior and mental health, subscribe now. Because on this channel, we're not just observing patterns, we're helping you understand them and find healthier ways to live.